I love these next couple cutscenes.
I hate it when they leave me behind. Look, it's Shadow.
Why did she walk backwards like that? And she's talking right out loud. Like, how does Shadow not hear her and think, why are you talking to yourself? Although this is pretty awesome of Amy. She's actually doing something very helpful. Remember earlier when I said that she'd be necessary for saving the world?
It's all
Well,
going according to
here's
plan.
where she's necessary.
There's no reason for me to help them. Besides, there's no way to save anyone.
There has to be. I know that people fight over the most trivial things. Some people may be selfish, like the professor said. But they're basically good if they try their best and never give up on their wishes.
And here's where her argument completely falls apart. If everyone tried their best and never give up on the wishes, there'd be nothing but war. Because everyone would be trying to get what they wanted.
Please do it for them. Give them a chance. Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me.
Maria!
For all people who live on that planet, give them a chance to be happy. Let them live their dreams. Shadow, I know you can do it. That's the reason why you were brought into this world.
I love this.
Shadow, the
I
hedgehog.
promised her, and I must keep that promise.
This is done so well.
I've got to go now. I have to keep my promise to Maria and you.
So Amy convinces Shadow to save the world, with a speech that's completely nonsensical. I love that. I love how the drum beat,
What's that?
the music kicks in, and it's perfectly timed with the way that the thing that the cutscene focuses on right off the bat is moving constantly. That should be Knuckles saying that, not Sonic. I mean, why is Knuckles not immediately figuring that out instead of Sonic? Of course he designed the shrine to harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds.
Humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
I love this effect.
You humans who took everything away from me will feel my loss and despair.
This is such a badass introduction. And again, people complain that this came out of nowhere, but it was very clearly shown on Rouge's newspaper. He looks so bad here. But it was very clearly shown in Rouge's newspaper. There was an entire article about it, there was a picture about it, and the whole cutscene was based around the idea that Rouge was showing the prototype of the ultimate life form, and saying that Shadow might not be Shadow. So, if you think this came out of nowhere because you weren't paying attention to the cutscenes, this is an infamously difficult boss, and I'm honestly surprised that I was able to beat this without cheating. Because I was considering... There's actually a glitch in the Dreamcast version. There's a lot of glitches in the Dreamcast version that can make it very easy to die here. Like falling into the water can kill you. When I fell into the water at the beginning of this fight, and I didn't die, I just jumped out of it. The biggest problem I have with this boss fight is the camera. It loves to focus on the body of the boss instead of actually showing you where you're going. And the problem is that you can't just keep on moving forwards towards the camera because eventually you run into its tail. And you run into it so quickly that you blindly stumble into it. Although I think the mouth looks kind of derpy though. You're supposed to get up to its core and homing attack into it by grinding on the grind rail here. But you have to wait until those red stars start flashing on it. That's so arbitrary. Like, it's right there. Why can't I homing attack it? Why do I have to wait until it starts glowing before I'm allowed to use it as a grind rail? Why can't I just defeat it really quickly right away? It's so easy for the camera to kill you in this boss fight, because suddenly it either doesn't show you where you're supposed to go, or Like, usually when I died in this boss fight, I would use the moon jump code to make it easier for me to get back to where I was, and then I'd start recording again. So while I did cheat, all of this footage is legitimate. And I was honestly very proud of myself and surprised that I was actually able to beat this boss after a couple tries. Not even 10 tries. The cheapest part of this boss fight is this right here. It's impossible to tell which one of these spears he's going to send out. The ones you have to jump over or the ones you have to somersault under. It's impossible to tell what you have to do because they show up so quickly. Too quickly for you to properly figure out what you're supposed to do before they hit you. It's entirely based on luck whether you manage to avoid them or not. So you're better off just... Like, it's really good thing that you can pick up your rings after you lose them again. Because that's probably the whole reason I was able to beat this boss, was that I kept getting hit by them, but I was able to pick up my rings, so it was no big deal. Like look at this. Even if you stand at the maximum possible distance away from the boss, you still aren't given enough reaction time to properly figure out, okay, this is this spear. I need to do this to avoid it. It's so cheap. That one attack is so cheap. And only now can you grind on the ground rail. This is so arbitrary. I think it recycles the exact same generic roar sound that Perfect Chaos had. Although it does make sense, because Gerald did a lot of research on Echidnas and Angel Island and stuff, so I guess it would make sense that this would have Perfect Chaos's roar, but it wasn't based off Chaos, so... And yeah, this is so cheap. There is singing going on, like there's a whole vocal track for this, but the lyrics are pretty indecipherable. They're kind of too quiet. And I don't even realize what the message of the song is, but at the very least, it provides very good atmosphere. Like, I like the way, I especially like the music that plays here. Perfectly suits it. Although I think the head of the Biolizard looks derpy. I think this is where the boss starts getting easier, but the problem is that once you lose rings, it's really hard to get them back. It's better to err on the safe side and homie attack the bubbles more than you think you should to make absolutely sure that you're able to attack the core. Because you might think that you can homie attack the core, but then you air dash instead, like I previously showed. Like, for some reason you can't, and you don't know why. You just air dash instead. But I do think that the whole bubble thing is easier than people say it is. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I died so many times at the last part of this boss fight. And I was really confused hearing that because that was the easiest part of the boss fight to me. Always was. You just hold up, so you float towards the core. Yeah, I resorted to pause scumming, and I still got hit. That's how cheap this is. You pause scum so you have enough reaction time, but you still get hit. I guess this part would be made easier if there was a homing reticule. Like, I hate the homing attack reticule as a concept because it feels like it's restricting me from homing attacking right away, and only when it shows up can I do it. But yeah, just hold up here. But sometimes you can get unlucky and the bubble will go in front of you, and if you run into a bubble, then you won't be able to get your rings back, so it's easy to die. But you start out so close to the core to begin with, so just make sure not to run into the bubbles, just go in between and open, and you'll be fine. Like, this boss was nearly as unplayable as I thought it was going to be. It's just the camera that sucks, and that one cheap attack, but you can just get your rings back anyways. I love his performance here.
Servers are the 7 chaos. Chaos is power. Power is enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos. Only
like, he sounds unsure of himself, which adds depth to his character. Like, he's not completely confident. And he kind of gets it wrong. Like, power is enriched by the heart is not supposed to be how it goes. But it's nice that they have that callback to call there. And it's nice that it's not so strict that you have to get it exactly right or the Master Emerald won't respond. So it chaos controls out into space.
Chaos control is?
That's gotta be a mistranslation. He knows what chaos control is. He's used it plenty of times.
Stop the Chaos Emerald.
He's supposed to be reacting to the fact that, you know, is that what it looks like or something? I like that line from Knuckles. He's such a deadpan starter in this game. That's right, the Biolizard has become one with the space colony and is intentionally bringing it towards the Earth. I'm not sure how, but that's what it's doing. A lot of people falsely refer to the Biolizard as female. It's actually asexual. This looks so derpy. Why did they think this was a good idea? Like, this is supposed to be a suspenseful scene, but ah well. So Sonic and Shadow turn into Super Sonic and Super Shadow. A lot of people think that he's called Hyper Shadow for some reason. I don't know where people got that idea, but he's not. He's called Super Shadow, which is a really stupid and lame sounding name, but ah well. I don't think Super Shadow looks all that great. Mainly in the red streaks in his hair. Like, a lot of people like to say that Super Sonic is golden because they invert his colors, but they clearly didn't do that for Shadow because Shadow is black and red, and yet he still turns golden anyways. This boss is absolute bullshit. Okay, you hold up to go up, but you can't just go straight forwards. You're either going up or going down. You hold A to go up and dash up, and you hold B to dash down. You can't just dash straight into it, and so it's extremely easy to get hit by the lasers and stuff, and that knocks you back extremely far. And you're on a time limit. Your rings are constantly counting down. It's very easy for the and the lasers spin around too. That's another thing that's really cheap. The lasers can spin around and then you can fly up into them, and you have no choice but to fly upwards. You can't just fly straight at the boss. I mean, I like the music, the atmosphere, the fact that the exchange between Sonic and Shadow, where Sonic is like, Shadow, you're not very used to using super form. You might exhaust yourself. And Shadow's doing this for Maria. I like the atmosphere of this, but the execution is terrible. The guy just flew into the claw of the boss. It sounded like a knockback 8 billion yards. And then all of these things appear in front of it. And you can't fly through it, no matter how hard you try, because you can't just fly straight ahead. And I was trying to get past the red parts. And another thing, it's not like there's meteors around that you can dash through to get rings whenever you want. You have to fly to some arbitrary invisible part of the boss arena in order to switch from Sonic to Shadow. Even 06 did it better than this, because in 06 you just switched characters with the press of a button. It was simple. Like, you gotta fly to the other side of the boss to switch characters. And you don't really know where you're supposed to go, and it's easy to switch characters by accident. And this boss is under a time limit too. So if you take too long, then the screen will go completely red and you'll get a non-standard game over because the Ark will crash into the Earth. Although you won't actually see the Ark crash into the Earth. So that's a missed opportunity there. I did not mean to switch characters there. And look, now I have 13 rings. I think the explanation is that you switch characters and the other character collects rings for you. The only good thing I can really say about this boss fight is it has a good atmosphere. I kind of like the theme, and I like how it doesn't do what Perfect Chaos did, where it starts out with the awesome song, and then it stops playing it in favor of generic music with entirely new life bar. I like how it doesn't do that. But yeah, this boss fight is really annoying. I hate how there's massive knockback every time something hits you. And it's so easy for the laser to hit you as it goes down on you from above, or it goes up on you from below. And the major problem is the controls to me. It's not very intuitive that you can't just move straight ahead when you go up or down. And you can't. Shadow is supposed to have taken off his inhibitor wristbands here.
Maria.
Give them a chance.
That's why he exhausts himself, and what happens afterwards happens. We don't really see that, though. This is a pretty intense scene. I like it. So they chaos control the arc away, and
Maria.
Shadow
This is
falls
what you
to his
wanted,
death.
right? This is my promise.
It was pretty
I
sad
made
back
to
in the
you.
day. Although, pretty soon we found out that he wasn't actually dead. Originally he was supposed to have died from that, but fan outcry wanted him back. I don't know why people say that the humans look cringeworthy here. I think they look fine. Like, even the little girl, I don't know why people act like, oh, she's the most hideous thing imaginable. I think the humans look just fine here. Better than in Unleashed, where they look cringeworthy to me. But that's just me. I don't really like the whole fugly
Where is Shadow?
Pixar like human. Ugh. And why are there no subtitles here?
Do you really think that the professor created him, Shadow, to carry out the revenge on all those who live here on Earth?
No.
He was what he was. A brave and heroic hedgehog who gave his life to save this planet. Shadow the Hedgehog.
And he used to hate him, calling him a thing and it.
I guess you're right.
As a child, I looked up to my grandfather because of all the great things he accomplished in his life. He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him. But did he really mean to destroy us?
I don't know, but what I do know is we all did it.
I love
together.
Tails' reaction to that.
You're right.
So what's next for you, Rouge? Off again to find those jewels you love so much?
Nah, I think I'm gonna give up this line of work. Too much work for too
This
little
is a lie.
pay. Anyway, I've got something better than jewels that I'm thinking
Aww,
about right
and this
now.
never goes anywhere. They drop all of the
It'll all
shipping
work out.
between them
You'll
after
see.
this game.
If you say so.
Even though there's such great chemistry in that they argue constantly.
What's the matter, son?
Why are you asking him what's wrong? It's so obvious.
Oh, it's nothing. Come on, let's go home. To the planet as cool and blue as me.
How about the atmosphere of this?
Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's perfect! Although I hate the fact that there was no subtitles for it, and it was kind of hard to hear the characters' dialogue over the music. Other than that, it was perfect. So, yeah. That was Sonic Adventure 2. As I mentioned many times before, the gameplay is definitely a step down from its predecessor. It did remove Big the Cat and Amy Rose as a mandatory gameplay style, but in every other possible way except for the racing stages, I don't think it improved on it at all. The mech levels are flawed in every way imaginable, the treasure hunting levels have a broken radar that pads the game out, the Sonic sections have the spin dash nerf so you can't use it as a proto boost anymore, and you can't take satisfying spin dash jump shortcuts anymore. So I don't really like going back to this game all that much. And I don't even think the controls are all that great compared to SA1. But in terms of the story, in terms of the atmosphere and getting you emotionally invested, and the characters it introduced, I love this game's story to death. I love how it has a perfect balance of action and downtime. There's all sorts of different conversations. There's not just exposition and boasting. All the characters in the story do something and contribute to the plot. I like how it starts out with an interesting role reversal where it's Eggman getting involved in the action and Sonic being chased after like a villain. I love how you care about the story because it's like Shadow has this tragic backstory and he's more than just a boring generic villain. He turns out to be good in the end. I like how Rouge hilariously jibs at the other characters. This game's story is so great and so underrated these days. People might complain it gets too dark at the end, but that's the whole point. It's supposed to get you emotionally invested in it and raise the stakes. That's the whole entire point. Also had some recording issues with the very last credits cutscene. It kept freezing at 99% when I was rendering it in my editing software, and I had to get the cutscene from the internet. But I did end up recording it. It just screwed up. Anyways, there's plenty of extra parts after this, so stay tuned.